up guys, welcome to another deck profile. We're here again with Link. Gonna do it real quick. I just went 7-0 on the UK remote duel Extravaganza, the English speaking one, and yeah, it was fantastic. First place, undefeated. Let's go. Link still best deck. But before anything else, some of you might be wondering like, hey, where is your deck profile from the Invitational? What is the explanations? I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to make a video about it. It's just ask away or anything you can, even on this video, but I'm not going to. You can find it on the Card Guild Facebook page. The list is shared there, but honestly, it wasn't that good of a list. I just found out that you could play Link in a way that I liked. I just found out it wasn't that yet. I switched from like the YCS, I still play Tri-Brigade Lyrilusk, and then the Invitational I played Link again. I didn't really have time to test. I was on vacation in Bulgaria while playing. It was a mess. I didn't have time properly to test and anything. No, just don't take that build as an example. Like the build I played today is way better to take as an example for yourself. And is more thought about than the one I played back then. But alright, that's all for that. Well, I'll do shoutouts afterwards. Let's just get into the deck profile. A lot doesn't have to be explained anymore because I feel like I did that in my Remote Duel Invitational Qualifier video where I went undefeated as well. But let's start with the things that went changed. Like, you still play the same rocket engine, I guess. Do you not want to get to one rocket synchron? No. You really want that second one. It comes up so much for me. Like, the rocket engine is so important, at least the way I play, and especially with new kind of combos that you do with them now. Combos, I guess. This is definitely still how the rocket engine should be, in my opinion, and of course an Aperture Router. I still want to play a second, but I still haven't gotten myself a second one. And actually, right now, I don't even know what to cut for it. So, but I really like playing 2 Aperture Router. In theory, it's so much better with a Chaos Rune and everything, but I just haven't got there. 2 Safert. Oh, why not 3 Safert? It loses to so many hand traps right now. Like previous format, when Link was still like the better deck, the best deck, it was the best deck, of course, but I mean, when everyone saw it as that as well, people played maybe Ashe. Maybe if you played against against a few Tri players before they could search everything, like maybe you could face a bit more, but it didn't really matter that much. Like, it was like, because Ashe on this is fine. If you don't send Safert itself, the Ashe on Safert is fine. Like, you're just like, okay, sure, continue playing. Like, if you send an Aperture Router or anything, you search a Nocto, it's fine. Even if the Ashe is there, you can just usually a quick launch or you go to Striker, search Boot Sector, use a rocket in hand if you have one. Like, there's multiple ways this is still fine, but if you have to send itself, but now, yeah, no, now it's just terrible when they do. Now there's so many that hurt this. Veiler, Imperm is in pretty much everyone's deck, Ashe as well. There's too many ways to do this, but you still need to play it because it's still part of the Chaos Engine, and its secondary effect to take back Livioneer is so important. It comes up so many times, so yeah, 2 I guess. 2 Chamber as well. I still think this is amazing, and this is just, you need to get to this every time, and especially now that you can't LP it anymore, it becomes even more important that you're playing these. I no longer play the Hospitality. I feel like it's like you just have to search a tidying now, always. Like, there's even if you have a tidying, I go for a second tidying. I just don't have the space anymore. There's no longer the luxury, I guess, to go for the Hospitality there. So yeah. Maybe I should play the Hospitality again. Right now, I'm not convinced. The 3 tidying as well, because this way you can go to Ravine. If you have a tidying drawn, you can send the tidying, special limit the chamber again, search another tidying, and you have an extender. And because Ravine doesn't really give extenders, this way you get an extender out of Ravine, and you also get your tidying. So that's great. That's just amazing. And with 3, you have a higher chance of milling the tidyings. With milling the tidings with Chaos Ruler without getting too many normal summons that don't do anything. And in the grind game, it's also really important. 2 Nocto. Nocto is amazing, but I don't want to play 3 of it because it's a high level, and I want to keep my high levels to a minimum. So these are all the high level monsters I play. 2 Nocto, 1 Phantasme, 1 Livioneer. Phantasme is great because there's many interactions. I was testing it with 3 for so long. Problem is, you're getting too many high level monsters. You get too many hands that you completely brick. I didn't want to have that, so I went back to 1 after all. It's still fine on 1. Like you can ask like, oh, but you never see that one, right? But that's fine. You don't play. Like now, I don't play it as a hand trip anymore. I've accepted that I just can't play the many hand trips in Dragon Link, or at least I can't. Other people apparently can. And 1 Phantasme is fine. If you open it, you can only open 1, and if you see something that's savored with it, you can discard it to go for Nocto. If you don't open it, it's fine as well, because you can often special summon this with Seal, then use Tidying, get this back in your hand. Then you have the Seal bounce, this bounce, and you still have this in hand for if they try to link summon, that you get your cards back and go into the ground, and it's another negate against targeting, so that's just great. And it has actual attack. And if the times that you do draw it, when you have to go second, are just amazing. But it's not part of the gameplay, it doesn't have to be. It's just part of the thing. You can also end on it to protect against certain decks against targeting, which is also fine, so yeah. 1 Bro Tower, it's your brick, but it's fine to see this format because often you just get destroyed in places and you can just be like, oh, okay, cool, then I just Bro Tower, effect Bro Tower, continue from there. So it's a brick, but it's also not, it's fine. And if you have this in the graveyard going second, it's just so good. The 2 Chaos Babies, don't think I need to explain that. I played 2 Vader, again. Like, I didn't play the Skullmeisters this time, like in the Invitational qualifier. I'm happy with 2 Vader. I was about to cut them because I just didn't like playing hand traps in Dragon Link. I just hated it so many times. And as just a hand trap, it just wasn't doing enough for me. But now there's another reason to play it, which I'll go into afterwards, so that's great. I play Dragoon Package this time. This was MVP today. Shoutouts to Jurit for lending me these. He came to me actually after 11 yesterday, just before tournament, to come bring me these. Drove all the way to me and just delivered them. Fucking MVP the guy is. So thanks. Without this and the Dragoon Package, I wouldn't have done as well. It came up so many times. Like, I didn't like playing the Dragoon Package because it's extra bricks, right? It's extra bricks. It clashes a little with the Chaos Ruler that you also always want to do first. Stuff like that. But in practice, it actually came out really well. Because if you do like Chaos Ruler and you reveal one of these two, you just add that one to hand if you still want to do the Dragoon play. And if you don't want to do the Dragoon play, then it's like, okay, toss them away. That's fine. That's a decision you make as soon as you see them. The few times you do see them with the Chaos Ruler play, you just decide, like, do I also want to do that or not? And of course it sucks a little, but it's not devastating. It's not like the end of the world. It doesn't clash that much. The Red Eyes Fusion, if you reveal it with Chaos Ruler, it is a bitch. But if that happens, then you know, like, oh, okay, I guess, and just throw it away. The few times that I think I've done once today, that I did Chaos Space to bait out the Ash, then Red Eyes Fusion, summon the Dragoon. Just amazing. So yeah, that's what it is. And and Red Eyes, Dark Magician. No, Dark Magician is the worst one of the two. But Red Eyes is nice again, because just like with Phantasme and stuff, you can send this with Saver to act a Nocto. So level 7 is nice. And if it's in the graveyard and you top deck like the Rocket Synchron, you can reborn this one. So that's also nice. Actual part of the plan. 3 quick launch, because apparently Atalia 3 is still broken. It's just, it stays ridiculous. Not as ridiculous as this though. Chaos Space, it stays so fucking ridiculous. Didn't see draws today at all. That's something I have to admit. I don't think I had any draws against me today. Maybe once. Maybe once, I think, but I don't remember exactly anymore. Fine, right? It's fucking broken. I didn't go today for the Twin Twisters. I decided to just ignore back row decks, as it's just not that important, and they're not there that much. I played all the guys once. Yeah, that was kind of sad. But then I just decided, like, oh, against back row decks you can just scoop game 1 basically, if you have to go second, and then just game 2 you start, you make board. Especially if you don't show your deck, you can just make your board. They probably don't have enough hand traps against you. or not the right ones maybe, because you have to play the right ones against Dragon Link and they're not going to blind sign and troll and stuff. You probably win that one because they can't out you, especially now that you play Dracoon. Most Vector decks just have a huge problem with that. And then game 3, you just go second, side in, twisters, reboot, all that kind of stuff, and you just win. So I played 3 droplets, 2 tactic. Was insane today, won me so many more matches. These cards are just great. It allows you to go second. Like, I lost so many dice rolls again today, as you do. Like, I think I lost 4 or 5 out of my 7 matches. I lost a die roll. Yeah, at 5 I think. 5 I lost a die roll. Twice I won. That was nice. But then because of shit like this, you can just go so much further, especially the droplet. Because the decks don't put down that good boards, and through hand drift you can usually play. So if you can just droplet or cheat droplet with a chaos space, quick launch, that kind of stuff, things that are going to go anyway, and just send those away. Maybe a monster in your hand you want to go to the graveyard and Abs out or something. You're just set for that game. You just don't have to worry on anything. And this just makes you win against Rytron. And I don't want to take the auto L against Rytron. And I'm not going to be playing enough hand traps. So, and the triple, yeah, fucking broken. Never play 3 though, because you don't want to ever see more than one of this. Ever. If you see more than 1 droplet, you can do droplets, send away another droplet or stuff. Or you can just be like, oh, I said 2 droplets, if they snipe one, I just keep the other one. But with two tactics, yeah, that's just terrible. That's absolutely terrible. And if your opponent doesn't have a hand trap, this is also terrible. I just assumed it would happen, and it's nice, but you know, never play more than 2. That's just overkill. 2 World Legacy Guard Dragon. Also don't play the 3rd. It breaks. You can't allow yourself to break in this deck. The hands have to be as broken as possible, with as many. You don't have 1-card combos, so you just have to open in as many extenders as possible. This is one of them. 1 Ravine, 1 Boot Sector. Staple. Okay, extra deck. 1 Striker Dragon. Rest in peace. 1 Pisty, and but we'll have to say goodbye to the other Strikers and LP. They'll be missed. Striker Dragon, you feel so hard. Just a recovery, like I feel this. If we had lost just LP, I think from the first second I would have been like, sure, I don't care, fine. But right now, the fact that, for example, your chamber play, if you follow it with the chamber, isn't automatically a reborn from anything from the graveyard, is just so much harder. Like right now, I try to banish my Striker Dragon as much as possible, so that you can put it back with the Chaos Space and can use it again in your follow-up play. Whenever that happens, or whenever I see the chance, whenever with Chaos Ruler I send a Chaos Space, I just make sure to banish this one, put it back with the Chaos Space, and continue from there. 2 Seal, you still need these, especially in the grind games. You just need to make a second Seal sometimes. It's just a thing. Don't cut it. Don't cut it. I've thought about cutting it to get more extra deck space, but it's just not worth it. You need to make the second one sometimes, and sometimes you even need to just be able to sack one of these. Just sack 1 Seal to get a Light Engrave or something. It's just that important. 1 Romulus, more important than ever, but it was already always a thing. 1 Quad, Helk, and then the reason why we play the Veilers, while it's still a good thing, shoutouts to Gabriel Nets. This package. This was such a good idea. Like, so many decks did it already, but it was never done in Dragon Link because, oh, you don't need it. But right now, damn, this helped out so much. This is such a sweet play, such a nice play to go to. All the times that you just have like 1 dragon, especially after you've like used a Romulus or can't, like, Romulus is not an extender, as already said, unless you have the Tidying. This also isn't an extender, so your only way is Hulk. But now that we no longer have like, Pisty LP and stuff, or at least LP, you just usually don't get there, or like you're not able to do enough. But now it's just like, oh, you have any tuner plus a non-tuner basically. Even if you get Nibiru somewhere, like if you go for the Boral Sword and they Nibiru you there, you can now just be like, oh, okay, tuner extender, go to Hulk, go to Selene, go to Access, and then you need a little bit more damage and you already have game. Like a Chaos Ruler Engrave or anything, already make sure that you can go for the game. This is such a sweet play. 1 Boral Sword, because that's still needed. You need to have both. You can't cut one or the other. Well, you can cut this package, I guess, but I just think it's way too good. But definitely keep playing Borosword because this is still your main way to OTK. This is still your easiest way to do it. It gives you the arrows as well, which Access Code doesn't have, which came up with to me a lot of times. Under Borosword you can make something like a Pisty, continue like that. With Access Code you can't, because its arrows are actually bad for Dragon Link, but it's fine. If your Access Code gets, I don't know, Chalice, Judgment, Strike, Nibiru, anything, you can still go for the Borosword and the other way around. One Verte, also a threat, together with the Dragoon. I've already explained this one, I guess. It just makes it, to me, like someone like Gabriel Nets or something plays IP and Unicorn. I play this. That's the difference. I just feel like this is a better thing to end on, especially because I go to a last Link 2, Dark Link 2, to make something if I don't have anything else. If I can't extend any further anymore. And for the IP play, I still need 3 monsters. Well, with this one, I don't need that. I can also bait with this one. With IP, you can't like threaten your opponent. With this one, you can. And there's also the play that with this one, I can summon this, summon the Tracer next to it with a quick launch or something, or make sure that's already there. Then use the effect, and then if they try to Imperm or Vader that, you can use the Tracer to destroy it, and then it still resolves. And then Chaos Ruler, because Chaos Ruler is broken. This like, yeah, I took inspiration from that. That's clear. And he's just so right when he said like this. You're basically Chaos Ruler Turbo right now. I've made a lot of games without. I've had multiple games without the Chaos Ruler because I don't think it's your complete bread and butter. But every time you're lured, like you have the choice. Almost always, you're secured that this is the better play. If you can do both of these, you go for this one all the time. And Savage, so yeah, Savage you can also make sometimes, and especially if you go if you try to play through a deck, being able to put the Savage down to make sure your opponent isn't going to hand trip you or something is also really important. But as basics, I guess, going too much about that. Side take. I play Gamma Driver package. Why don't you main it? Because I only play this, I only think it's justified whenever I play against people who play Droll against me for the Chaos Space and stuff. Just siding this in and of itself already makes your opponent play different. They see one of or something, or they hear about it on the event, they already play different against you. And that's good news, because you need to get those Chaos Spaces off and stuff. If you draw them and you get Drolled there, that's devastating, because we can't do as much anymore. We can't do as much. We can't just go for LP and just try and get there more out of it. No, we have to get to this play. Like, you have to resolve, and if you resolve this in your own turn, you've won. You've just won. And against stuff like, if you go against decks that you need more hand traps against, you can play this technically. I'm not a fan of it, but you can. If it's in your side deck, it's an option, right? Then I play 2 Skullmeister for the prank kits, and I also side in one against I also sometimes side in one against the Tri-Brigade, because you can also do stuff there. Going first, you can decide up to play this in, and yeah, besides that, not a whole lot I would play this for, but it's definitely for the prank kits, and I expected that that today, didn't play it, but it's fine. 2 Lancia against the Tri-Brigades, especially pure Tri. Like, if you just lance them, they just pass you. They can't make a board strong enough to actually threaten you. Sure, maybe they have still they hard draw their Revolt, but that's fine. Usually they don't put on an Appaloosa or stuff. They can't really get to the big ones, or Dribble Dragon Lord, the ones that bother you. So if you do this and the only thing they have against you is their Revolt, then especially with the droplets in main, you just OTK them. That's great. 3 Twin Twister. I still respect the back row decks. Same with the reboot. Like, I still respect them. If I don't keep them in mind main, then I will definitely kill them with side. And it's just so important against those decks. Like, I can't. You can play through a lot, but you can't play to strike full combo or something. Like, in those cases you just need to have the reboot. It's just that simple. Against an Altergeist player or stuff, what are you gonna do when they do multi-faker, strike, maybe a protocol or something? You're not gonna out that. You're just gonna lose, and then they make too much gains for you to come back from it. So you need to remove them. Called by, I side the call by now, because I was thinking, like, actually in main, I draw this a lot, I draw this a lot and realized like in main there are decks that just don't play hand traps or decks that don't see the hand traps. If I go second, it doesn't really do anything because they it doesn't do a whole lot because against a lot of decks they remove their hand traps or stuff. Like a Extravaganza often shovels their hand traps back if they need to in some plays. And I just realized like an Ash or a Veiler, you don't care enough to justify playing this in the main. But after sight, yeah, you expect those draws and stuff and lands, yeah, and more hand traps often, so yeah, call by. And it's fine if you go first and you can just set this, like it's still a good disruption. But I just need to see combo way more often, especially since you play Dragoon, you have to be kind of careful of how many non-engine pieces you play. And this was just too much. One Mystic Mine. This is amazing, like, shoutouts to Kevin Brandt. I'm sorry, bro. This was my spice again against Tri Brigade. Because you just activate this. A lot of people side out their back row removal against Dragon Link, especially if they go first, or even if they go second. Like if they have a Cosmic Cyclone or stuff, maybe they keep it in. But I already think that's not that good because it's only. But they do it for the boot sector and stuff. But then the Mystic Mine is just amazing. You activate this one, you can completely play. You can do all of your combos, don't have to worry about hand traps, don't have to worry about the draw. Like if you go second and you activate this and then you activate the Chaos Space, you know where it's going. And you can sit under it, like really easily. You can summon a monster, do a little bit of damage, use a tidying to get it back to your own hands, it's fine. So yeah. And then the last card is Order, because Order gives you free wins and it's too good not to play. It's the only card, like this is what I play going first, basically. That's all I change. Sometimes I do this to side out the Vaders, because against some decks it just doesn't matter. Like for example, Prank Kids, the Vaders are dead. They're just dead. So you switch them out for this. So you can do stuff like that, or you can just side out the Vaders and play this instead only. And this is I side if I expect draws or stuff. If I don't expect them, or don't expect enough hand traps, I just don't bother. That's it. That's the deck profile. Yeah. I hope you guys liked it. Deck did great. 7-0. I think my matchups were. Let's see. I wrote them down. My matchups were round 1 Gren Maju. Good guy. Attack with Dark. Good meme. Round 2 Matchmech. He got Judge FDK'd because there was something with his deck list. Oof. Then Pure Try, Kevin Brandt, who ended up being 5th. That was honestly one of my hardest matches of today. Really good player. He played Pure Try, and yeah, it was just... That was the only time I saw the mine, and it really put in work. Then round 4, try Zoo. Try Zoo, I guess. Was a win. Then round 5 was Altergeist. Game 1 I just scooped. Like as I said, I just scooped. I tried to play, then he had one interruption too many in the form of an Ash, and I was just like, no, I'm not gonna try. We're just gonna go to game 2. And then it was a 2-1. And then I had to play against Ignister. Yeah, they put up a big beefy towers, and you're just saying, okay, Boros Sword. Like, you're one of the only decks that plays Boros Sword and Access Code, so you definitely get over that thing. It's really not that much of a problem for us. And then the last was Pure Try again, and that was just also an easy 2-0. So no disrespect against the player, but this deck was just prepared for it. So yeah, that was my deck. That was my day. I played 4 of my opponents. I think of the 7 rounds ended in top 8. So I don't think I had a really easy day, easy tournament, but the deck definitely put in the work. I was a little iffy with the Dragoons because I never really played Dragoons, so I made a few misplays with it, a few plays that I shouldn't have done, but it was fine. It was fine. At the end of the day, the deck is good enough that it could carry me in the few times that happened. And yeah, that's it. Shoutouts to Card Guild, shoutouts to my boys, shoutouts to Jorrit again, shoutouts to Kevin Brandt for being such a nice guy. To the Matchmech guy that I played round 2, or should have played round 2, I promised that I would win, I did. You're welcome. Now you can rest in peace. And yeah, overall, shout out to Raid and Trade. Shout out to Elias for lending me cards that I in the end didn't play, but still, shout outs. Anything else? Oh, and I guess shout outs to Gabriel Nets once again for the 6 Celine combo. It really helped me today. So that's it. Thanks guys. Love to see you. Check in next time. This is Card Game Philosopher. Out.